I teach writing here at the University of Mississippi, which is another way of saying that I help students visualize their thinking. That has been incredibly challenging since the arrival of ChatGPT and other generative AI tools. It's also caused a lot of issues in asking ourselves about what education actually means now. I approach these tools with some curiosity, but also skepticism. I also want us to start thinking about what place AI actually has right now for us in education. I've talked about AI now over 200 times. I stopped keeping track last year, about 2025. I stopped making slides too, because there's really no point. What I put in the slides too may not be relevant tomorrow. Ethan Mollick, who writes about AI in education, talks about how the AI you use right now is probably going to be the worst AI of your lifetime. Imagine that for a second. The tools are only going to become better. When I visit faculty and talk to them about this at different universities, when I get to discussing how they feel about AI, the things that they say to me are some are excited, but quite a few more are deeply frustrated. In fact, they're grieving, they're mourning. They've lost something precious in this sort of moment too with their students. That trust, that relationship. They can no longer know if the writing or the actual words of the students come from themselves or from a machine. What makes me even more concerned right now is we're starting to see faculty adopt some of these tools to assess student learning. Before ChatGPT arrived in 2022, an educator in the United Kingdom by the name of Mike Sharples predicted this moment would happen. He said that students are going to use AI to actually complete their assignments, and faculty are going to use them to grade. What then becomes the purpose of education? Let me tell you about a recent experiment. A professor wanted to give his students an oral exam to make sure they weren't using a chatbot to outsource their thinking. The thing is, oral exams are very time-consuming. They're very messy. They take lots of resources. They're not efficient. So what that professor did was he trained an AI voice agent to proctor that exam. For 25 minutes, students sat in front of a screen talking to a machine about what they learned. At the end of it, 3 other AI systems graded them. Now, the thing is, the students largely said this worked, it was effective, but they hated it because it was so stressful, so alien to them. Could you imagine trying to persuade Siri or Alexa that you learned something? I want you to think about that for a second. A student sitting alone in front of a computer, talking to a machine, trying to convince it, to persuade it that you learned something. And then other machines are going to grade it. As a faculty member who's had to deal with AI and my students using it, I can understand the impulse to turn to this. There's a certain dystopian symmetry of it. But I think we have some ethical responsibilities we have to consider here. We're living through this period of remarkable change. These AI systems are being marketed to us more in the language of magic than science. To hear some of these sales pitches from the companies, it's as if you're finding a magical red button on your desk one day to push it, and all the tedious tasks you don't want to do suddenly get automated away. As a faculty member, that could mean that the actual emails I send to my students are now going to be automated by a machine. It could mean the course materials, the grading, the letters of recommendation. And with it, I fear that actual relationship I have with my students is also going to disappear. All due because of that one word, efficiency. We're no longer talking about transformative. We're no longer talking about new discoveries. All the marketing and mantra about AI the past few years has been about efficiency. Well, human beings are anything but efficient in this sort of context. Here's what I believe. Education is a public good. It's one we've all agreed to invest in, knowing it's expensive, knowing that it's a time-consuming endeavor, knowing that it's anything but efficient. If we go use these machines, especially as educators, to begin to assess what our students know, we're going to lose something within that process that may not be able to be repaired. When I look at my students' writing, I hear their words too, and see it actually written down on the page, I'm looking at their thinking. I'm interacting with them. I'm also sending them a message. You matter to me. I took the time to actually look at this. When an AI does that, they get a different message. Your work was processed. And I don't think that's a very good thing. I'm not opposed to using these AI tools. You might find that shocking. I think you should use these to augment your skills. I think you should use this to discover more creative potential within yourselves. I don't think you should be using these tools to outsource judgment. Whether you're a student or a teacher, or if you're a policeman or anyone else in our world too that uses these. We have to have a conversation about where this technology basically works in education or doesn't. And that is going to take time and effort, and it's not going to be efficient. That red button that you've seen for the last 3 years, it's not going away. And the incentives to use it to actually automate those things about yourself and your life are only going to become more and more present in your life. We have to have a conversation now about the boundaries we want to have with this new technology. Because that red button will be there, and it's going to be a choice for you to push or not each and every day. Thank you.